One of the things that I will tell you, when you are doing blended learning, you really have to think about classroom management. Classroom management is very, very important. So one of the first things that I tell my kids, we are a one-to-one school. So I'm like, cell phones in the backpacks, because we don't need the cell phones. If you're using cell phones, you're going to have to develop some strategy very similar to what I do with the computers. So when I'm talking and I have computers in the classroom, screens down. It's just a rule, screens down when I'm giving specific instructions or direct instruction. That's one thing, because if I have the screen open, the students tend to want to play with the screen. I've seen it in faculty meetings. You've been there. There are points where I tell the students, all screens down. Just as you would in a classroom, you don't talk over the students, you ask them to be quiet. This is part of being quiet, screens down. That's one thing you have to think about. You also have to think about, when you are managing a blended classroom, how do you carry computer? What's the rules for carrying the computer? Are you going to need the computer? There are days in my classroom where we don't use the computer, and I tell my students to put the computer away. Another classroom management tool you're going to have to think about, what's going to happen when the kids don't bring the charged device. I always go to our tech people and I'm like, can I have 1 or 2 cords? And then I make sure I label those cords so that they don't walk, because cords do walk. Students are very good though about sharing cords. Please do understand that you probably will have to provide some plugs for the students. Review that with the students. Other classroom management techniques with the blended classroom, you do have to talk about how to have a conversation online. We do talk about how what you say online stays online. One of the things that I have to say, I have not been very good with getting online discussions going. The kids will post, but getting them to communicate with each other is something that I'm still working on. For those kids who do post, you gotta lay down the law. You gotta say school rules apply. Please understand, like adults, they will make mistakes. I say we're only gonna do appropriate language. When students do something incorrect, there are consequences. It may just be as simple as talking to you, but you do have to lay down those rules and procedures. But one of the best procedures I have found is close the laptop screen when I'm talking. Cell phones. When I first started blended learning, I used cell phones in my classroom, and I was like, they have to be in the book bag unless we are using them at this point. So making sure you set clear and concise guidelines.